The door creaked open like a confession I wasn't ready to hear, and there he was, my stepson Alex, frozen mid-breath, his wide eyes locking onto mine with a mix of terror and pity that hit me like a freight train from the old rail yards outside Chicago. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered, slamming his laptop shut so hard the screen's glow flickered out like a dying firefly. But not before I caught the frozen image. Me, tangled in an embrace with Mike under the neon haze of a Milwaukee bar sign, our lips inches apart in a moment I'd sworn was buried forever. In that split second, the air thickened with the weight of every lie I'd piled on our family like bricks in a crumbling brownstone. And I knew, God help me, that the boy I'd raised as my own had just become the keeper of my deepest shame. I stumbled back a step, my hand still gripping the doorknob, as if it were the only thing anchoring me to the polished hardwood floor of our split-level home in Evanston, Illinois, the kind of place where neighbors wave from manicured lawns and no one ever talks about the storms brewing behind bay windows. Alex was 17 now, all sharp angles and quiet storms, the spitting image of his father in the old photos Sarah kept tucked in her nightstand drawer. But there was no mistaking the accusation in his gaze, the way his fingers trembled against the laptop's edge. "Does Mom know?" he asked, his voice cracking like thin ice under a skater's blade. I couldn't answer. My throat closed up, dry as the autumn leaves skittering across our driveway. Sarah was downstairs, humming along to some NPR segment on the kitchen radio, oblivious as she stirred risotto for the three of us, our fragile little triad, held together by routines and unspoken rules. I'd married her 6 years ago, right after her divorce from Alex's dad left her adrift in the Windy City's legal undercurrents. She was warmth and wit, a high school English teacher with a laugh that could disarm a room full of rowdy freshmen. I was the steady hand, the architect who'd traded blueprints for project management gigs, building other people's dreams while mine stayed sketched in secret journals under the bed. But Mike was the line I crossed one rainy Tuesday in a Milwaukee conference room, where our firms had collided over a bid for the new lakefront development. He was broad-shouldered and unapologetic, with salt and pepper hair and eyes like the deep blue of Lake Michigan on a calm day. We'd shaken hands over coffee-stained contracts, and by the end of the week, those handshakes had lingered too long, evolved into late-night texts about everything from Frank Lloyd Wright's Ghosts to the ache of hiding who you really were. One bourbon-fueled evening at a dive bar off the interstate, the dam broke, his hand on my knee under the table. I whispered, "This can't happen," followed by the hottest, most honest kiss of my 42 years. It wasn't just attraction. It was recognition. Two men who'd spent decades building walls only to find the foundation was sand. That photo Alex had seen, it was from last month, snapped by some drunk tourist who'd mistaken us for a couple celebrating an anniversary. Mike had laughed it off, posted it to his private Instagram story with a heart emoji, never dreaming it'd boomerang back to haunt me. I'd begged him to delete it, but he just pulled me closer, murmuring against my neck, "Jack, when are you going to stop running?" Now, staring at my stepson, I felt the run catching up, sprinting full tilt into our living room where Sarah's voice called up the stairs. "Dinner in 10. Boys, don't make me send up the cavalry." Alex stood slowly, his hoodie swallowing his frame like a shield. He was taller than me now, with that effortless grace kids his age have before life rounds off the edges. "I wasn't spying," he said, shoving the laptop under his pillow. Posters of indie bands and faded maps of national parks wallpapered the room, remnants of the road trips Sarah and I had promised but never quite delivered on. I was just scrolling. Popped up in my feed because you follow the same architecture accounts. Dad Jack. He tripped over the word, the one he'd started using after I moved in, a tentative bridge over the chasm his real father had left. "It's okay," I managed, though nothing about it was. My mind raced through scenarios. Tell him it was a one-off, a mistake born of too many drinks and too few honest conversations. Or bolt, pretend I'd seen nothing, and let the silence fester like the mold in our basement after last spring's flood. But Alex's eyes, those hazel mirrors of his mother's, held no judgment, only a weary understanding that twisted the knife deeper. "You're gay, aren't you?" he said, not as a question but a quiet exhale, like he'd been holding it in longer than I had. The word hung there, stark and American as a bald eagle on a quarter. Gay. I'd whispered it to myself in motel mirrors from Seattle to Savannah during business trips, tested it like a foreign phrase in dive bars where no one knew my name. But here, in the room where I'd helped him assemble his first desk and taped his broken skateboard wheels, it landed like a verdict. "Alex, save it." He crossed to the window, peering out at the neighbor's Halloween lights still twinkling prematurely in the dusk. "I've known for a while. The way you look at those guys in the old movies we watch. The late nights working. And now this." He gestured vaguely at the pillow hiding the evidence. "Mom deserves better. We all do." His words stung because they echoed my own midnight recriminations, the ones that kept me staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin while Sarah slept beside me, her hand occasionally reaching for mine in dreams. I'd loved her once, in the straightforward way straight men love, dinners at corner bistros, walks along the lakeshore where she'd quote Whitman and I'd nod along, grateful for the normalcy. But love morphs, doesn't it? It shifts like dunes under relentless wind, revealing bones you'd buried deep. Downstairs, the timer dinged, a cheerful chime slicing through the tension. "Boys," Sarah called again, her voice laced with that Midwestern lilt that could charm bees from hives. "Coming," Alex shouted back, his tone flipping to casual like a light switch. He turned to me, jaw set. "We'll talk later. But Jack, if you hurt her, or him, I'll hate you for it." He brushed past me then, leaving the scent of his citrus shampoo trailing like a ghost. I lingered in the doorway, heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. The truth Alex had glimpsed wasn't just a photo. It was the unraveling of the man I'd pretended to be. The stepdad who grilled burgers at block parties, the husband who fixed leaky faucets without complaint. As I descended the stairs, the aroma of garlic and wine wrapping around me like a false embrace, I wondered if this was the moment the house of cards began to sway. Little did I know, it was only the first gust. Dinner unfolded in its usual rhythm. Sarah regaling us with tales of her students' latest Shakespeare butchery, Alex poking at his plate with feigned interest, me nodding along while my fork scraped porcelain like nails on chalkboard. The dining room overlooked our backyard, where fireflies used to dance in summer but now just held the shadow of a rusted swing set. We'd bought this house for its promise. A fresh start after Sarah's messy split from Greg, Alex's bio dad, who'd skipped town for a job in Austin and child support checks that arrived like clockwork but carried no warmth. "You're quiet tonight, Jack," Sarah said, reaching across the oak table to squeeze my hand. Her wedding band caught the pendant light, flashing like a signal flare. She was beautiful still, at 39, curly auburn hair pinned back, freckles dusting her nose like cinnamon. "Rough day at the site?" "Something like that," I replied, forcing a smile that felt like lifting weights. Under the table, my knee bounced, a tick I'd picked up in college poker games to bluff through bad hands. Alex shot me a glance, his fork pausing mid-air, and I swear I saw the ghost of that photo reflected in his eyes. After plates were cleared, Sarah insisting on her family bonding ritual of loading the dishwasher together, Alex excused himself to his room, muttering about homework. Sarah and I retreated to the living room, where the leather couch sagged comfortably under our weight. She curled into me, head on my shoulder, flipping through channels until landing on a rom-com rerun. "Remember our first date?" she murmured, tracing circles on my thigh. "You spilled red wine on that white shirt and laughed it off like it was nothing." I chuckled, the sound hollow. "How could I forget? You said it made me look like a tortured artist." My arm around her felt mechanical, a habit worn smooth by years. But tonight, every touch sparked guilt, electric and unwelcome. Mike's face flickered in my mind, his easy grin over morning coffee in that Wrigleyville apartment he'd rented for work trips. The way he'd hum Springsteen tunes while sketching remodel ideas on napkins. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a vibration like a warning shot. I fished it out, angling it away from Sarah's view. A text from Mike. "Missed you at the bar tonight. That photo's still making me smile. When's our next escape?" Heart emoji. Simple, devastating. I typed back quickly, "Soon. Crazy week. .. and hit send before the regret could settle. Sarah yawned, stretching like a cat. "I'm beat. Walk me up." We brushed teeth side by side in the ensuite, her minty foam flecking the mirror, my reflection staring back accusatory. In bed, she spooned against me, her breathing evening out to soft sighs. I lay awake, the ceiling a blank canvas for regrets. What if Alex told her? What if he didn't? And the secret festered, poisoning the air we all breathed? By dawn, I'd resolved to end it with Mike. Clean break. No more stolen weekends in Wisconsin's North Woods. But as the first light crept through blinds, my phone lit up again. "I love you, Jack Harlan. Don't forget that. Love." The word I dodged like potholes on Lakeshore Drive. Propelled me out of bed, padding downstairs in socks to brew coffee strong as tar. Alex was already at the kitchen island, backpack slung over one shoulder, nursing a bowl of frosted flakes. "Morning," he said, not looking up. "Kiddo." I poured a mug, the steam rising like unspoken words. "About last night." "Don't." He set down his spoon with a clink. "I get it. Life's messy. But if you're gonna do this, do it right. For all of us." His eyes met mine then, fierce and young, carrying a weight no 17-year-old should. "I'm late for school." He grabbed his keys and was gone, the front door clicking shut like a period at the end of a sentence. I sank onto a stool, the house echoing empty. Sarah wouldn't stir for another hour, her alarm set to the strains of some folk playlist. In the quiet, I pulled up Mike's text, thumb hovering over delete. Instead, I replied, "Tonight. The usual spot. We need to talk." The drive to work blurred. Expressway traffic a snarl of horns and brake lights, the Sears Tower looming like a judgmental monolith. My firm handled mid-rise condos. Nothing flashy, but enough to keep the mortgage paid and Sarah in her LL. Bean catalogs. Mike's company was the competitor, the one always nipping at our heels, which made our affair feel like corporate espionage laced with sin. By lunch, I was at our spot, O'Malley's, a no-frills pub in a strip mall off I-94, where the burgers were greasy and the booths afforded privacy. Mike was already there, nursing a draft, his work shirt unbuttoned at the collar to reveal a sliver of tan chest. "Hey, stranger," he said, standing to pull me into a hug that lingered. His cologne, something woodsy and warm, wrapping around me like fog off the lake. We ordered the usual, fries to share, clubs on rye, and dove into shop talk to ease in. But his eyes searched mine, patient as a therapist's. "What's eating you, Harlan? You look like you saw a ghost." I picked at a fry, the salt bitter on my tongue. "Worse than that. My stepson. He knows. About us." The words tumbled out then. The whole sordid spill, the laptop, Alex's quiet accusation, the fear gnawing at my gut like a rat in the walls. Mike listened, his hand covering mine across the scarred formica, thumb stroking knuckles in slow, steady circles. Shit, Jack. That's heavy. No pity, just that solid presence I'd come to crave like oxygen. But hey, maybe it's a sign. You've been dancing around this for years. Remember that night in Door County? You said you wanted out for real. Door County. Last summer, we'd rented a cabin under the guise of a guy's fishing trip, though neither of us could cast a line worth a damn. Nights by the fire pit, stars wheeling overhead, his head on my lap as I read aloud from Kerouac. It was the closest I'd come to freedom, the kind that doesn't come with fine print. I do, I admitted, squeezing his hand. But Sarah, Alex, it's not just walking away. It's dismantling a life. He nodded, jaw tightening. I know. My ex said the same when I came out. You're destroying us. But she rebuilt, Jack. Stronger. And me? I finally breathed. He leaned in, voice dropping. I want that for you. With me, if you'll have it. The server swung by with refills, oblivious to the precipice we balanced on. Outside, rain pattered against the window, turning the parking lot into a watercolor smear. I can't promise anything tonight, I said finally. But let's not end this. Not yet. Mike grinned, that lopsided one that crinkled his eyes. Deal. Now eat your damn sandwich before it gets cold. We lingered until the lunch rush ebbed, parting with a quick kiss in his truck. Brave, foolish, tasting of ketchup and hope. Back at the site, overseeing rebar pours for a senior living complex, my mind wandered to Alex. Would he say something, or was this his way of pushing me toward the light? Evening brought the obligatory family dinner, Sarah's meatloaf steaming on mismatched plates. Alex was subdued, picking at peas while recounting a soccer practice that sounded scripted. Under the table, his foot nudged mine, not aggressive, but insistent. A signal? When Sarah stepped out to take a call from her sister in Madison, he leaned in. I saw you leave early. Lunch with him. My fork froze. How? Doesn't matter. Just be careful. Mom's not blind. He pushed back his chair, clearing his plate with mechanical efficiency. I'm heading out. Study group. Sarah returned then, oblivious, planting a kiss on my cheek. Our boy's growing up too fast, she sighed, watching him go. Greg called today. Wants visitation for Thanksgiving. What do you think, Greg? The ex. The ghost who sent cards but no presents. Up to Alex, I said, the words automatic. But inside, resentment bubbled. Not at him, but at the role I'd played, the stand-in father stitching together a family from frayed threads. That night, as Sarah and I made love. Tender, familiar, but devoid of spark. I faked enthusiasm, my mind adrift on Mike's laugh. Afterward, tangled in sheets damp with effort, she whispered, I love you, Jack. You know that, right? I do, I lied, staring at the fan's rotation, each blade slicing time. Down the hall, Alex's door was cracked, a sliver of blue light spilling out. Was he texting friends about normal teenage dramas? Or staring at that photo, piecing together the man I might become? The week blurred into a tense tango. Mornings of forced cheer over bagels, afternoons stealing glances at Mike's emails, flirty blueprints with hidden messages in the margins. Alex watched me like a hawk, his silences louder than shouts. Then Friday, the hammer fell. I came home early, arms laden with groceries for Sarah's planned date night in. Steaks from the butcher, a bottle of cab from that Sonoma trip we'd taken pre-marriage. The house was quiet, save for muffled voices from the living room. I set the bags down softly, curiosity pulling me toward the archway. There stood Sarah, back to me, arms crossed, facing Alex on the couch. What do you mean? Not like other boys? Alex, honey, talk to me. He was hunched, hoodie pulled low, voice barely above a murmur. It's nothing, Mom. Just stuff at school. Bullshit. Her tone sharpened, the teacher emerging. You've been distant for weeks. If it's drugs or girls pressuring you. It's not that. Alex shot up, chair scraping linoleum. I'm gay. Okay, gay. And I hate hiding it. Like someone else we know. The air sucked out of the room. Sarah whirled, spotting me in the doorway, her face crumpling from confusion to something rawer. Jack? What's he talking about? Alex's eyes met mine, apologetic fire. Tell her that, or I will. My knees buckled against the doorframe. The truth, that slippery eel, thrashed free at last. Sarah, I started, voice fracturing. Sit down. We need to talk. All of us. What followed was a symphony of shattered glass. Not literal, but the kind that leaves invisible shards in your soul. Sarah listened as I poured it out. The loneliness of my 20s, mistaking companionship for passion. The slow dawn of self-awareness buried under societal shoulds. Not as a fling but a mirror, reflecting the man I'd suppressed since college dorm crushes dismissed as phases. She wept, not dramatically but in quiet heaves, clutching a throw pillow like a life raft. How long, Jack? How long have you been lying? Since the beginning, I admitted, hating the cowardice in it. I thought I could make it work. For you. For Alex. Alex, for his part, defended me, fiercely, unexpectedly. He's a good guy, Mom. Better than Dad ever was. He didn't ask for this any more than I did, but betrayal bloomed in her eyes, thorny and red. And you, Alex, when were you going to tell me? My own son, keeping secrets with him. The accusation landed like a slap, pitting us against each other. It's not like that, Alex protested. I was scared. School's hell. Jocks calling me slurs in the locker room. I thought if I told you, you'd freak. I wouldn't, she cried, but doubt flickered. Greg's abandonment had left scars. Was homophobia another layer? The night devolved into accusations and apologies. A verbal demolition derby. Sarah stormed upstairs, slamming the bedroom door. Alex retreated to his room, headphones on like armor. I sat alone in the kitchen, the uneaten steaks thawing on the counter, a metaphor too on the nose for comfort. By morning, the house felt like a crime scene, tiptoed around, evidence bagged and tagged. Sarah emerged in yoga pants and a resolved face, announcing over coffee, I need space. A weekend at my sister's. Think things through. Take what you need, I said, the words leaden. Alex hovered in the doorway, backpack ready for school. I'll be okay, he told her, hugging tight. To me, quieter, call him. Mike, you deserve this. She shot him a look but said nothing, wheeling her suitcase out to the Prius. The engine hummed away, leaving silence thicker than fog. I did call Mike, voice shaking as I recounted the implosion. Come over, he said simply. I'll make pancakes. His apartment was a sanctuary, exposed brick in a converted warehouse, bookshelves groaning under tomes on urban planning and queer lit. He folded me into his arms on the threshold. No questions, just presence. We spent the day tangled on his couch, watching old Hitchcock films, his fingers combing my hair as I dozed. This is home, Jack, he whispered when I woke. Not that house. Here. but home tugged. That evening, Alex texted, "Mom's place is a tomb. Can I crash with you?" I forwarded the address, and soon he arrived, duffel in hand, face drawn but determined. Mike greeted him with fist bumps and offers of pizza. "Extra cheese, right?" And just like that, barriers crumbled. Over slices at the coffee table, Alex opened up. The crush on his lab partner, the taunts at school, the relief of not hiding from me. "You're lucky," he said to Mike. "You got to be you sooner." Mike chuckled, but his eyes on me were soft. "Took me till 35. Cost me a marriage. Friends. But worth it." Night fell with board games and bad puns, laughter echoing off high ceilings. When Alex conked out on the guest futon, Mike pulled me to the balcony overlooking the city lights. Chicago sprawled below, a glittering testament to reinvention. "What now?" he asked, arms around my waist. "I file papers. Talk to therapists. Figure out custody with Alex. He's choosing me. Can you believe it?" Tears pricked, hot and unashamed. "I can." He kissed my temple. "And when you're ready, we build something real. No secrets." Monday brought the lawyer's office, a sterile space smelling of stale coffee and fresh starts. Sarah met me there, composed in a blouse and slacks, her curls tamed into a bun. "I loved you, Jack," she said across the conference table, papers fanned like a poker hand. "But not the lie. I know. I'm sorry for everything." We agreed on amicable divorce. Joint custody, her keeping the house. "Alex wants weekends with me," I added. She nodded, a sad smile. "He told me. Kids got your backbone." A pause. Then, "I hope he makes you happy. Both of you." The word hung, not accusatory but accepting. Progress, fragile as new concrete. Weeks turned to months, a rhythm emerging. Alex splitting time, thriving in art class with a sketchbook full of bold lines. Sarah dated a fellow teacher, gentle and kind. We co-parented with texts and handoffs at Dairy Queen. Mike and I, we dated properly. Picnics in Grant Park, arguments over takeout Thai, nights where his snores lulled me to sleep. One crisp October evening, as leaves blazed crimson along the North Shore, we three, me, Mike, Alex, drove to that Door County cabin. No pretenses, just flannel shirts and a cooler of craft beers for the adults. Around the fire pit, Alex roasted marshmallows to charred perfection, regaling us with tales of school crushes and triumphs. "Here's to truths," Mike toasted, clinking bottles. "The ones that rewrite everything." Alex grinned, flames dancing in his eyes. "To family, the kind we choose." I pulled them both close, the heat warding off the chill. The stars wheeled above, indifferent witnesses to our mended mosaic. It wasn't perfect, no story is, but in the glow of that fire, with the lake whispering secrets to the shore, I finally felt whole. Rewritten, yes, but enduring, like America itself, flawed, fierce, and forever reaching for light.